Hello, hi. We are doing another craft today. As I mentioned in one of my previous videos, I've been browsing Redno or Xiaohongshu like obsessively because there are so many fun crafts on there, and every time I come across a craft I'm like, I have to make this. Like, there's so many cool crafts, and I keep like trying to translate and like look up new types of crafts that I can find, and oh man, I've been having a ball, y'all, looking at all different types of things I can do, all types of fun little crafts that I can do. I'm ready to be a craft queen. Oh, yeah. I don't know, I've been like having such a fun time making little charms and making pipe cleaner guys and everything, and I have like 2 other things that I have lined up after this video, but basically, the one thing that I'm excited about doing for this video this time, I made a video in the past previously where I made tiny little pipe cleaner guys. Let me get one. And I made a tiny little pipe cleaner bunny. A little pipe cleaner bunny. And I thought that they were really cute, but one of the things that I see a lot is people have been making like big pipe cleaner guys. So we all know at this point, I'm sure y'all are already aware, as I've said in previous videos, I love me a little guy. And Rachel and I think are on a mission to collect as many little guys as we possibly can and create as many little guys as we possibly can. Listen, we're obsessed. I don't know about you guys, but we're obsessed with little guys. And it's time to make another little guy, but this time a little bit of a bigger little guy, you know? Maybe not as little as the previous little guys, slightly bigger, but I would still consider it a little guy. And this time we are doing pipe cleaner little guys, except make it a little bit bigger. Craft places sell big pipe cleaners, and I found a bunch of tutorials on Xiaohongshu. Now, they were all in Chinese, so I don't speak Mandarin, so I had to just watch what they were doing and try to follow along. But I followed the tutorials and I figured them out, and I made a bunch of dogs, and I am very excited to show you guys the process, because once you get it down, it's kind of easy to make a bunch of them, and then you just kind of keep going. And I like a craft where I don't feel burned out afterwards. Like, I feel like I could just keep making and making and making. And that's how I feel. That's how I felt about the little resin little guys I made. And that's how I feel about these. And I'm pointing over here because I have them over here, but you can't see them yet because it's not time. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna walk you through how I made them and show you the final product. So let's just jump in really quick and I will show you how I made them. Let's go to top-down mode. Welcome back to top-down mode. Here are some of the supplies I grabbed. I actually ended up not using those noses up there because they were too big. You'll need multiple of these chenille stems. For this poodle that I'm about to make, I only need 1, but for the other ones, you'll need at least 3. You'll also need little eyes as well as little noses, glue, and soft pastels that you use for coloring. You can get all of the eyes and noses and stuff off of places like Etsy. Now grab it and wrap it around your thumb twice. This is going to be the start of the head. Twist the 2 pieces together. The shorter piece is essentially the spine and the tail, and the longer piece is going to make all the other parts. Keep that in mind because the longer the spine is, the longer your guy is going to be, or the longer the tail is going to be. Now with the long piece, you're going to make 2 loops on the back of the head, and those are the ears. Then taking the long piece, you feed it through the bottom of the head, up through the top of the head, and then between the ears and back down. Then you take the ears and you twist them and push them down. Then taking the long part again, you feed it back up through the head once more, wrap it around between the ears again, and then you twist it with the spine.
Now for the limbs. With the long piece, you fold it into like an arm shape, cross over the spine in the front, fold another arm shape, cross it through the back, then wrap it back around the spine on the front, fold a leg, and then fold another leg. At this point, you can kind of position the limbs and the head in the way that you want. We're just gonna have it just stand, so I'm moving the head up and moving all of the legs down into a standing position. You take the remaining part of the long piece and just wrap it around one of the back legs, just so that it is adhered, essentially. And then once that's all set, you twist the legs just so that they kind of stay in place. Now at this point, you can choose to add another chenille stem and wrap it around the body to give it more bulk, but the tutorial I was following didn't do that. It's also going to look kind of scraggly and messy, but that's where cutting it comes in. You just have to trim it down into the shape that you're looking for, and once you start trimming it, you'll start to see the little doggy shape come to life. Once it's all trimmed, that's when you can start adding your color with the pastels, but since this is a little white poodle, we're just gonna leave him white. I got some tacky glue to just put on the back of the nose and the eyes and just slap them right on there. Now, in retrospect, I think these eyes were way too big for this guy, but it's a fun experiment, right? Just add all of the little details and get a cute little doggy. Now let's move on to the next tutorial, which was a Pomeranian one, and you know I gotta do a Pomeranian one. So this one, she measured it against her palm for some reason. I guess that's like supposed to be the spine length. Then at the little fold, you wrap it around your thumb 3 times. Then put it between your pointer finger and your middle finger and bring the spine up. Then slip the spine through the head. And then you should have the shorter part on the bottom and the longer part on the top. Make sure you have a hole in the head place because we're going to be lacing these through over and over again. Then you take the long piece and pull it through, but don't pull it through all the way because we have to make an ear. Then take the long piece, go up from behind and then through the head again to make the second ear. You should have a head that looks kind of like this with 2 little ears on top, and then the 2 pieces, the spine and the longer part, on the bottom. Now take the longer part and go from the back of the head up again. Now remember when we initially made the head, it was with 3 loops around our thumb. You're gonna separate them apart from each other a little bit because we have to weave them through, because we are going to take that long piece and feed it between the ears and then slip it between the first and the second loop of the head. And then it's gonna go through those down into the whole bottom part of the face. It goes between the ears, over the first loop, into the hole between the first loop and the second loop, and then down into the bottom of the head. And that's kind of the base of the head. Now we're gonna make kind of like the ruffle collar for a Pomeranian. You're gonna pull down the 3rd loop of the head and slip the long part in and across on the left side. And then do the same, wrap it around, open up the 3rd loop of the head, and then slip the long part in, around and across to the other side. It kind of looks like it has 2 bulges, and that's okay because we're just gonna finagle it into like the little mane around their neck. It should kind of look like this. Then we are going to twist the spine and the long part around so it just kind of adheres them together. And now we make the arms like what we did with the poodle. You fold it a little bit, wrap it around the back, fold again, and at this point we're going to have to add another stem. So just twist them together until they seem like they're really kind of held together nicely. Then you're going to fold it around the back, wrap it around the front, make another leg. Now, an important part to note is that the distance between the arms and the legs will also determine how long the spine is of the dog. So the longer you make the distance, the longer their torso is going to be. So for example, if you're going to make a little dachshund, you kind of want to make the distance between the arms and the legs longer. Now take your long piece and cross it between the leg and the tail, over the front, and then between the right arm and the right leg towards the back. And then you can start kind of positioning the limbs to how you want them to be. Now we take the long piece and wrap it around. So we're going to wrap it around the stomach once, then cross it over around the neck, and then down behind the right leg. And then we're going to wrap it around the right leg one, then go between the two front legs, wrap it around again, and then between the two front legs, and then go up over the top of the left leg and wrap it around the neck. Now wrap it around a few times and then bring it back down between the two front legs, and then just tuck the end in somewhere just to make sure that it's like in there and it won't come out. At this point, you can kind of manipulate your little limbs and everything so that they're in a better pose, and then kind of mess around with the shape a little more just to make sure you have the proper shape. You should have a shape kind of like this, but Poms are fluffy. So we're going to take another chenille stem and wrap it around the torso multiple times. Then on the back, we're going to wrap it underneath the left leg, between the two legs, up around the base of the tail, over the front of the right leg, and then tightly around the torso again. And now we start the trim. I don't really have a lot to say on this because you're just gonna trim where you feel you should trim. I like to trim around the legs a lot, and then also trim up the face to define where the nose is and the ears. And then I leave other parts a little longer, especially if it's a Pomeranian, like around the neck area and the tail and everything. Now, to be fair, I groom my own Pomeranians, so I kind of know how to groom a Pomeranian at this point. So I was going into like an automatic grooming mode here. You can kind of see here that one side is more trimmed versus the other, and you can really see how once you start trimming, it really starts defining the shape. Once he's all trimmed, he kind of looks like this. He's a little stout and a little long in the torso, so I think he's actually a Pomeranian mix. He looks more maybe like a Corgi Pom or like a Pekingese Pom mix of some sort. But now that we have him all trimmed, we can start coloring him. I think I want to go with this coat color. Just a cute little tricolor Pom. Once we got all of the colors on him, let's add his little nose and eyes. Just using some tacky glue like before, getting it on the post and then just sticking it right on in there. You might have to move things around a tiny bit according to where the wires of the chenille stems are. You just kind of have to finagle and fit them in as best as you can. And there we go. Let's add a little bit of blush. And then I also add a little bow. I did add a tongue initially with another pipe cleaner, but I did end up swapping it out at the end for one of the resin tongues that I made. And now I'm going to do one of the sitting Pomeranian tutorials that I found. I'm gonna kind of speed through this one a little faster because it uses a lot of similar techniques we already established. This one, you wrap it around your thumb twice, twist them, take the longer piece, go from the back, pull it through the head to make one ear, wrap it around again to make the second ear. Once you have the ears, you're gonna wrap it around again, but this time you're gonna wrap the long piece around the ears. So you wrap it around the front of one ear, then go behind, and then wrap it around the front of the other ear. Then between the two ears and then back down. Now you take the long piece again, and the two little parts that we just wrapped around the ears, you are going to want to make holes in both of them so that we can feed the long part through them. I find needle nose pliers can help a lot in this instance, like manipulating the wire and then making sure that there is a hole to go through. So feed the long part through one side, and then through the other. Now remember on the previous head, we fed a long part between the first loop of the head and the second loop of the head. Well, this time we are going to go from the bottom with the long piece. So take the long piece, go through the bottom, we're gonna feed it through loop 1 and 2. Then pull it between the ears, back down through the back, and then twist it with the spine. Now we're gonna add a whole new chenille stem, just attach it to somewhere in the base of the head, and we're gonna do a similar body like we've done for the last two. Fold the legs down into like a sitting position, and then we're also going to wrap a third chenille stem around the stomach and around the chest just to give the puppy some bulk. Then once you get it in the position you want, we just move right on into trimming it. Now I wanted to make some paw pads this time since it was sitting, and I decided I was going to use the resin that I did for like the little keychain guys, because I actually weirdly really like working with this stuff, and it's really great for making small little things, and because it cures almost instantly, I felt like it was just easy to make the paws and the tongue and everything. I trimmed this bow, so I used a lighter to seal the ends of this bow. Attached this cute little bow on him. And then I felt like his paw pads were a little too shiny, so I actually had this matte nail polish that I just painted right on top of the paw pads and then cured it, and you can kind of watch it become matte right before your eyes. And then I just couldn't stop, so let's make one more. And that's about it, so let's move on to the final reveal.
Turned out so cute. Look, it's a baby. Look at this little baby. I want to make so many of these. I had so much fun making these. I think I just want to make a bunch more. They turned out so cute and they're so fun and it's really relaxing. You just like get the supplies, you can like turn on a show and just make a bunch of them. I need to buy more eyeballs and probably need to buy some more noses. And I feel like they would be really fun to sell at like a convention, like a little adopt thing, like have like a little adopt slip because everybody wants to adopt a little cute guy. So I want to make a bunch of these for the next convention I do, which I think is Dragon Con. I'm not going to be at MomoCon this year, just FYI, because I'm a dummy and I forgot to apply in time. So that's all on me. I'm very sorry because I'm a dumb doo-doo brain. But I will be at Dragon Con. Maybe you'll get some of these at Dragon Con. I don't know. There might be a big section at conventions now of just my random crafts of making little guys. Maybe I'll call it like the little guy adopt section or something. I don't know, maybe I need a better name than that. Little guy, little guy adopt, get yourself a little guy section. Okay, maybe you can help me come up with a name. If you have a better name than that, let me know. Or I'll list them up on my website or something, because these are just really fun to do. Let me know down below if you would want to get one of these, like if I made a bunch of them and put them on my website or at a convention or something. And also, what should I name my little guy adoption center? Okay, that's about it. Goodbye. He's so cute. Goodbye, he's so cute.